All right, we're
All right.
streaming right now.
All right.
Can we
You guys ready? What's up?
go with the music?
Oh, we
Can
already
we
did.
reset the music, please?
You want to reset the music? Is that what you said?
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, my cue. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Yes.
Let's go.
3, 2, 1, go. All right.
Cool. All right, RJ, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, hit it. Man, Swaggy P living the snitches get stitches life. Donovan Mitchell gets traded to Joakim Noah's favorite honeymoon destination, and Steph making Warriors fans have high blood pressure. I'm Rosa Panta. This is the Clinic All NBA podcast. I have the three hooligans with me. JJ, how you living, my friend?
Trying to stay cool like Fonzie.
John, how you living, my friend?
I love me some Fonzie, dude. Let's get it. I'm doing great.
Sammy, how you living, my friend?
Hey, I'm good, my man.
Well, boys, we have some big NBA news today. Donovan Mitchell gets traded out of all places to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who expected this? This is absolutely crazy. For 3 unprotected firsts, and it looks like a couple pick swaps. Also, Agbaji, who was the number 14 in this June's draft, Colin Sexton, and Lauri Markkanen. So, boys, I want you to focus here on just the Cleveland Cavaliers side. Do you guys think that this trade was worth it for Cleveland?
Just 1,000 times yes, definitely. If you look at the assets they gave up and the way Mitchell fits that team, they clearly didn't want Sexton. They let him go out there and try to find money, and he couldn't. Agbaji was a solid prospect from my understanding, but usually the number 14 pick, you're not historically getting a ton out of, just in terms of metrics, not judging individual players. And Markkanen felt like a rotation player at best for them. I mean, if you look at what they traded and the core of that team, more importantly, every young player on that team, that's the core 4 now. So we're talking about Mobley, Allen, Garland, and Mitchell are all signed for at least the next 3 years. All of them are under, I believe, 26. Those picks, if this team stays together, don't seem like they're going to be all that valuable. So I think this is a terrific fit, a great trade for them. And even though Mitchell and Garland might not be great together defensively, Mobley is such a unique big to pair with Allen that I think they are more capable of covering for them than almost any other front court in the NBA. So across the board, I love this trade for Cleveland.
Yeah, I definitely love the trade for the Cavs, especially seeing how Garland had to take over the offensive duty last year, and he just had trouble, especially towards the end of the season, trying to score because he was the only playmaker. Now that you have Mitchell playing with Garland, I think that backcourt could do some damage on offense. And Garland actually averaged about, I want to say, 8.6 assists a game. So they could play well off each other. I think Sammy hit the nail on the head. My only concern is both of those guards are really small. They're both 6'1", but they do have a backcourt that could help protect the paint if they do get, beat by the point of attack. So props to the Cavs. They definitely won the trade. They needed a playmaker and they got one.
So, John,
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you something. So, Rudy Gobert, he went for like 4 first rounders and a pick swap. Do you think that this was like the appropriate amount for Donovan Mitchell?
Well, if we're
Just giving some perspective.
we're using Rudy Gobert as the barometer,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Then I feel like the Cavs definitely did not get enough. I'm sorry, the Jazz did not get enough. Excuse me. I mean, if we're basing it off the Rudy Gobert trade, yeah, the Jazz definitely should have gotten a lot more. I mean, Sammy made a good point about those 3 picks. They might not be that valuable because the Cavs are going to be pretty good. So they're not going to be, a top 10 pick. So the Jazz, I mean, if you're going to try to make an argument that those picks are valuable, I would have to argue against that. And, while the Cavs did give up Colin Sexton and Agbaji, who was a prospect, they still kept Jared Allen, who I for sure thought was going to be a part of any deal for Donovan Mitchell. And they still have Evan Mobley, obviously up-and-comer, and Karis LeVert. I think people forget that he's also on the team. He's also somebody that could put up some points. He's, he can put the ball in the basket. He can create his own shot. But I think that the Cavs are going to have to stay together for maybe 2 or 3 years. I know Sammy mentioned they're going to be together for 3 years at the very least. I don't see them making any contention for the championship in the next year. Maybe next year or the year after that. But they're still super young. And the experience, reigns supreme, especially in the playoffs. So I could see them maybe making the second, maybe even the conference finals. But I just can't. I mean, I'm going to say it very unlikely. But if they do make it, I wouldn't be completely surprised. But I just don't see them ever making the finals at this current point with this setup.
Well, okay, let's go off the top of the dome here. Okay, so in the East, like number 1 would be Milwaukee Bucks, right?
Yes.
Okay, 2, are we going 76ers? Are we there yet?
I think
Boston, right. Okay, Boston, and then Philly?
With James Harden, dark horse MVP, yes, Philly.
With James Harden that is not so much a dark horse MVP that...
Or is this where the Cavs sneak in? Or are we just like forgetting about the Nets here?
Are we also forgetting about the Heat here?
The Heat always make me upset, dude. Like, I want them to be really good. I mean, I want them to be bad for some reason. Like, I don't think they're going to come out of it. And then all of a sudden, they're just really good. Right? So I don't think you can count out the Heat. We'll just say they're 3rd. We'll just do it. So 4th. So now we're at number 4 with 76ers and the Cavs. Is this where we're thinking the Cavs kind of slide in?
I could see that.
Yeah, I agree too. I think this is just the area, but it's very outside of to me. There's a very clear top 2, and then 3 to about 5 or 6 is Philly, Cleveland, Brooklyn, Miami. Just pick your preference. They're all kind of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. So on Thursday, I guess the Cleveland Cavaliers. I guess they were plus 10,000 to win the NBA title. And then they quickly dropped after the trade to 4,500 and then to 3,000. So it just kind of shows you, I guess, how much of a huge trade this was for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They improved significantly. And I guess where I'm going here is, where do you guys think are the holes for the Cleveland Cavaliers? Like, what are the concerns with this new setup, with this roster?
Their main concern is if LeBron James is gonna make his way out to Cleveland.
I was so going there. Because the problem is that small forward, right?
Yeah. I could totally see LeBron salivating. He's talked about, last year he talked about going back to Cleveland, and now they're that much stronger. I don't know, man.
In an area of need?
It's an area of need, but you have Garland as a ball handler. You have Donovan as a ball handler.
No,
I actually don't.
Yeah. He's not going back to Cleveland unless Cleveland somehow gets Bronny James.
But you know what? At the same time,
enter the Laker fan in the chat here.
At the same time,
I agree with you though.
The way they're structured, they need their small forward to be a 3-and-D guy, nothing more. Someone who can guard the wing and make the 3, and that's what Okoro is supposed to be. Is he going to be that? It's hard to say. But the other thing to remember with them is if they want to, they've got $45 million of contracts between LeVert and Kevin Love. And if someone else is unhappy, they might not be done. There's another move for them to make if a team wants to unload salary. So
that's true. Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. If I had to pick a hole it would probably be the experience and the veteran leadership. I mentioned their
agree.
experience would be their weakness if they wanted to contend, and so I think they're missing that piece. Someone who could actually, reset the table, calm the nerves, get people, their players and their teammates to focus on the task and not get distracted. Because I feel like this group, outside of Kevin Love, they're just super young. They're young, they're inexperienced, but they're full of talent. So I'm going to say that.
They need to look for like an Andrew Wiggins type. I feel like at the very least.
How ironic.
Yeah.
They picked him.
Oh yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah.
So he'd be like returning back to, well, not really returning. He never went there. He just got traded straight up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Jazz real quick. So the Jazz just got a huge haul this offseason. So going from 2023 all the way to 2027, they have like 9 first-round picks, which is a ton. What do you guys think of like the Jazz's position, like new position here? Do you guys like where they're at?
I think for the Jazz to culminate as many draft picks as possible is the best move for them, just because they're not a free agent destination. Number one. Number two, this is Danny Ainge's MO, and I don't think he has a good reputation with free agents either, just because of what's been said from
Right.
Campbell Walker and IT, Isaiah Thomas. He needs those draft picks, and he's not going to do it on free agency. Look at how many players that he was supposed to trade for, but he really wanted to keep those draft picks. Jimmy Butler was in the works. Kawhi supposedly wanted to be a Celtic. Harden, AD, Chris Paul. This Danny Ainge just loves his picks, and we'll see if he could actually score on them. That's the trouble, right? That these draft picks aren't guaranteed.
I'm not gonna hate on what Danny Ainge is doing, because what he did in Boston, it just took a while for it to come to fruition. I mean, he didn't trade the pick that drafted Jason Tatum. He didn't trade the pick that drafted Jaylen Brown. He didn't trade the pick that drafted Marcus Smart. So a lot of these things take time. Now, it all depends on kind of what your goal is. If his goal is to win now with the Jazz, then yeah, you definitely have to look at the trading those picks. But it looks like it's a complete rebuild. Obviously, they traded Rudy Gobert, they traded Donovan Mitchell, so he's looking probably like 5, maybe 10 years down the line. And who knows? Maybe they'll be awful this year, which is likely.
Oh yeah.
And they have a chance at Wembanyama. How am I saying that right? Wembanyama. There you go.
Yeah.
I have to get used to it, just like Antetokounmpo.
They're trying to replace one French center with another. That's the final goal here.
Let me correct myself real quick. 2023 to 2029, they have 15 first rounders. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, just enjoy the next 3 or 4 drafts where every pick is either going to be New Orleans, Oklahoma City, or Utah, because that's what's happening. They pretty much own the next 3 to 5 drafts. So I get what Utah's doing. I mean, and like John said, they're not a free agency destination. So the move is to accumulate assets and either draft the star or trade the assets for a disgruntled star. If you're a market like that, there's no other move. So I understand it. I mean, if Mitchell was already sending out signals he didn't want to be there, then you make the deal. But I think they're going to look back on this deal and regret it. Honestly, I just don't think they got enough value for the quality of player.
Rudy Gobert got more.
The Gobert
the
deal, I
Jazz
think they're going to dance in the streets, and it's almost like this is regression.
Rudy Gobert's agent is like,
break it down. Break it down
out here, like David Blaine.
Yeah, break it down to the end of the season. If we all were able to go into the future and say Rudy Gobert is going to get a far better return than Donovan Mitchell, how many people would have bought that?
Nobody.
Nobody.
I think we're just looking
Minnesota.
I think we're just looking at the draft picks, though. Like, we can't forget that Sexton is in this trade. You know what I mean? And then for Rudy Gobert, what did they get? Like Gallinari?
For Gobert, they did get Walker Kessler, who was taken in the first round of that draft. He was Minnesota's first round pick, so that's kind of the offset to Agbaji, like the same way they got. They got right. Kessler. What did they do?
They got Pat Bev,
which they flipped into THT. So depending on what you think of THT, He's a piece of it now too. Yeah, he ain't so good anymore. But you wouldn't trade him for Lowry, would you?
I mean,
So the Sexton. Here's the thing with Sexton. Do you think he is a big rotation player, like a 25-minute rotation player on a winning, contending team, or do you think he's a decent guard who puts up a lot of empty stats on a bad team? I think that's the debate with him across the league.
I'm gonna say today,
Yeah.
he is not, but I think he has the potential to be, and I feel like that's a good risk to take. And you know, some of these picks that we're talking about here, they might not ever be as good as Sexton.
Very true. Very true.
You know what I mean? But I'm really impressed with what the Jazz did. I did not think going into this offseason that, like, if they told me that they were going to blow it up, that they would end up with 15 first rounders. Like, that is crazy to me. Let's talk about the sad side of this trade. So Donovan Mitchell was rumored heavily to the New York Knicks. Like, they were coming up with all sorts of trades, and apparently RJ Barrett was part of it. RJ Barrett not too long ago signed an extension, which basically signaled the fact that Donovan Mitchell was not coming. Looking at the trade that Donovan Mitchell, the Utah Jazz got for Donovan Mitchell. What do you guys think about, like, the New York Knicks side? Like, are you guys sad for them? Are you guys thinking that they should have offered more, gone harder for this? Or do you think that it would have been way too much for the New York Knicks to even offer, considering their current state of their franchise?
the Knicks are absolutely cursed. And there's nothing that anybody could ever say to me that would convince me otherwise. And this is all Stephen A. Smith's fault, and partially Carmelo Anthony too. But it's like a comedy of errors at this point, right? Like year after year, whatever you want to say, they always miss out on their free agents. They always miss out on the trades. They always miss out on all of these players that want to come home, allegedly. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's from New York, and so it would have been the perfect fit for him to come home, sell tickets. I mean, the Mecca, right? The Big Apple.
Yeah.
To me, I read a report, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to roll with it, that the Jazz were very upset, kind of butthurt, that Donovan Mitchell wanted out. So they made a conscious effort to not trade him to New York, his hometown, because they knew that's where he wanted to go. So instead they chose Cleveland. Now, we don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to say it is, because I love drama, juicy gossip, even if it's not substantiated. So I want to get your guys' thoughts. Do you think that's possible, that the Jazz actually didn't trade him to New York because they were upset that he requested a trade?
I think it's very possible, because a rumor came out that in July the Knicks offered Toppin, Quickly, and Barrett plus 2 picks, and the Jazz turned it down. And I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but I think that's a better deal than what they got.
Yes, by far, dude.
So why turn that down and then take this instead? Did they overplay their hand? Did they think they had a better market, or were they bitter and not want to trade him where he wanted to go?
The
Age doesn't strike me that way, though. That's the only thing that I get conflicted about, but that's what it seems to be laid out here.
So from what I've read and what's like going around in New York is that there was a deal in place, but then the Knicks were, quote unquote, they were being cheap with their draft picks. So then the Jazz, they just said, forget it. We don't want to make a deal with you anymore. And, Scott Perry, who's the GM for the Knicks, as soon as he got the position 3 years ago, they've been waiting to do this move. They saved up cap. They were targeting Donovan Mitchell. He was the heavy favorite for weeks. And then all of a sudden, what happens? He gets traded to the Cavs. It's kind of odd. I'm going the opposite side of what John was saying. I think that the Jazz got pissed off at the Knicks, not at Donovan Mitchell, because of how they communicate and deal through free agency and trades.
This is so interesting and so juicy. Like, leave it to the Knicks, man, to flub this. I mean, they have all 7 of their own first rounders. Also, 4 additional picks from, it looks like, Dallas, Detroit, Milwaukee, and Washington. So, I mean, they had all these combinations of picks that they could have sent in their direction to compete with this. That the Cleveland Cavaliers had to offer. I don't know, man. I just feel bad for the New York Knicks, but we're gonna move on. We're gonna take a short little break with a word from our sponsor.
The wait is almost over. A new football season is about to begin. Get ready for the NFL Week 1 action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's promo code TBPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
And for our next topic, guys, Laker legend Nick Young and Laker legend D'Angelo Russell. So Nick Young was recently, he spoke to Sports Illustrated Chris Mannix for an interview on The Volume. And he was asked, which NBA player do you want to face off in a boxing ring one day? And Nick Young did not hesitate. He did not waste any time. This is his quote. Of course, D'Angelo, Young said. Some guys on the Warriors, some guys on the Lakers, couple coaches. Maddox joked that he figured the 6'7" Young, who played for the Denver Nuggets during the 2018-19 season, could make a lot of money fighting D'Angelo Russell. And I'm curious, guys, like, for context, for people that don't know this, I don't know who would not know this, but back in, I think, 2015 or 16, D'Angelo Russell was recording Nick Young secretly about Nick Young's infidelity or extracurricular activities while dating Iggy Azalea. And that became super public. And this is the reason why Nick Young wants to fight D'Lo. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this story. This is a good one, I will say. But do you think that, one, are you surprised by this pick by Nick Young? And two, if they were to get into a boxing match, do you think that Nick Young or D'Lo would win?
Oh, man.
That's a good question. So, let me just say this. I just think it's hilarious that after 6 years that Nick Young brings up this situation with D'Lo. Like, you haven't moved on, man? Have you been dating other people that you're bringing up this? This should be water under the bridge. What do you guys think?
Dude,
But what if Iggy Azalea was the love of his life, Jay?
Then why was he stepping out to begin with?
Yeah, that's the truth too, Sammy.
Hey, that's true. Very true. Hey, you got me there, Sammy.
But there's like bro code. You know what I mean? And like they seem like they're really good homies. Like really, like they're literally just lounging, like just relaxing, dude. And he records and posts it randomly, and it's just guy talk. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, we're all dudes here, and we all know how like some guy talk could get a little out of hand, right? It just seemed like that conversation got out of hand, right? Not for public consumption. So I think I would feel a little bitter about it too, especially if they haven't talked to each other. Because okay, I just brought up this article. Did you see that D'Angelo Russell replied to this rumor?
Boy.
He says it's not gonna happen, or what?
No, he said, "My name keep dude relevant, and I'm going to the grave with, I ain't do that ish. Hashtag carry on." So he still feels like he's not responsible.
Oh man.
I don't know, dude. Those are like fighting words to me. I don't know.
That brings me back to like the old age question, which is, who do you blame? The criminal or the snitch?
It's a tie. They both lose.
Yeah, okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
Both, yeah, they both lose in this situation. So I want to get your guys' thoughts. who would win? Let's say hypothetically they set up a boxing match, ESPN, the Ocho, whatever you want to call it, and we're all watching it. Who do you think wins? How many rounds? Is it a TKO? Give me all your details. Give me what you think.
D'Lo wins. D'Lo wins because I have absolutely no faith that Nick Young's anywhere near in shape to do anything since he's been out of the league for 3 or 4 years. And clearly D'Lo's still in his head. So all I can picture is Nick Young throwing a punch, turning around, raising his hands in the air, and the basketball somehow flipping in and out like it does in that eternal meme that we've all seen at this point. And then turning around and just getting knocked out. I can't pick Nick Young to win at much of anything. Sorry.
I concur. I'll go with D'Lo.
D'Lo in the 8th by a basketball hitting Nick Young in the head.
Okay, so it says here that D'Angelo Russell is 6'4". Nick Young is 6'7". D'Angelo Russell is 190. And Nick Young is 210. I'm going to go with stats here. I'm going Nick Young. He's taller and bigger.
I'm gonna go with Nick Young, but there's gonna be an instance where he knocks D'Lo to the ground, thinks he wins, kind of like when he shot the basketball, it rimmed in and out.
Exactly.
He celebrates
And
too early.
D'Lo gets back up and knocks him out. But then
That's how the fight ends.
at the end, Nick Young comes back and wins. I'll leave it at that.
Can we talk about who do you think he's referring to with the Warriors and the Lakers?
Oh yeah, because he says that he would fight like some guys on the Warriors and some guys on the Lakers, huh?
I'm calling KD and Draymond for the Warriors
For sure.
because they used to yell at his ass.
Draymond probably for sure. Yeah.
Or do you
Couple
think?
coaches?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Byron
maybe
Scott-
Steve Kerr.
Byron Scott.
Byron Scott for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laker coach Byron Scott, and then the cameraman who caught, or all the reporters that posted that video of him shooting that 3 going in and out, and him raising his hands, turning around.
It's a good call.
All right, so I mean, I think we all in agreement here that we would love
Yeah.
to see this.
Are we all paying
it
for
ever
this
happens.
fight? If it happens, would you guys pay to see it?
I would split it. I wouldn't pay more than $5, but I would split it with people. It
No.
shouldn't be more than $10.
I'm
I'd find a
asking
way
our
to
video
watch it.
producer RJ to hook us up with a link.
Oh yeah, there you go.
All right, guys. I mean, we're all in agreement. We would love to see this fight. Hopefully, it happens.
DraftKings, make it happen.
Yes, please. But I'm going to move on to our next topic. So, Steph Curry, he recently was receiving the key to the city of Charlotte this past Thursday. And he was actually interviewed. And he made some interesting comments, as particularly, I think a lot of Warrior fans would kind of maybe scratch their head or raise their eyebrows at. And he was quoted as saying this: "Everybody asks me, you want to play 1 year for the Hornets and come back? I'm not breaking any news right now, but I'm not making any promises," Curry said. "All I would say is if there was a team that I did want to play for that was not named the Golden State Warriors, that would be it." And so, I know that my natural inclination is to go to the Warrior fans here, but I'm going to throw this to Sammy first.
Okay.
As an outsider, as a non-Warrior fan, is there any reason to be concerned about this comment? I mean, he's still under contract for, I think, a good amount of years. But is there any reason to be concerned? And do you think that there's a possibility? And if you were a betting man, do you think Steph Curry is going to play for the Hornets at any point in his career?
All right. So, is there any concern to me? Not really. I think he was back home, wanted to make the people happy, threw this out there to get the polite cheer. On the surface, I think that's it. If you want to play the conspiracy game, he has put out there through media reports, whatever you want to call it, that if Draymond doesn't get re-signed, he would not be happy. So is this a little bit of subtle pressure of saying, hey, there's other places I could go? Sure, it could be, but I don't think it's that big a deal. In terms of him playing in Charlotte, I mean, never say never, but I can't see it. I would be amazed if he plays in any jersey but a Warriors jersey before he retires. So maybe because I'm not emotionally attached to it, I don't see it as a big deal, but I just think he was having a nostalgic at-home moment.
Yeah, what do you guys think? JJ, June?
Well, okay, so Steph Curry just did the ESPYs. He learned how to work a mic a little bit. He learned how to work a crowd a little bit. He knows he's in Charlotte, receiving the key to this city. So it's gonna appeal a little bit to the people there. I mean, even in the middle of this quote, like, the people there erupted in cheers because they were just like really happy that he was about to say this about the city, you know? And that's why he said, like, I'm not breaking any news right now. I will say this. In the twilight of his career, I would not be surprised if he played for Charlotte. I mean, his dad is an announcer for Charlotte, right? So to have your dad announce your games, that would be absolutely incredible. And like, Steph Curry's a big family man, so I wouldn't even be mad at him. He's already served his time for the Warriors. He's did his thing with the Warriors. He's given us like the best years that the Bay Area has ever had, like, in sports. Debatably. JJ, what do you think?
My thing is that Curry knows that he's within the category of legend, and part of that legend folklore is playing for one team for years, decade and more.
True.
He's part of the club with Duncan, Kobe, the list goes on. But when you do want to go back home and that desire's there, it is a threat. I mean, Laker fans used to always hear Kobe say he would play for Philly, right? Chicago fans would always hear Jordan say it would be a dream of mine to play for the Knicks and play at MSG for home games. So, I don't know. I think it's funny that he said it. I would hope that he retires as a Warrior, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he were to play for the Hornets, like for his dad or in front of his dad.
Yeah, I agree with Ro and JJ. I think there's a possibility that he would play for Charlotte. I think just being home, and Steph Curry is that persona. He's he's a family guy. He's very, tight knit with the community. He just seems very down to earth. So I think if anybody would be more likely to do that and kind of have that nostalgic feeling and playing in front of your home team where you grew up, and having your dad announce your games, like Rose said, I think it would be Steph Curry. Now, it would be awesome for him to finish his career in Golden State. You always love to see those kind of stories where one guy just starts with a team and ends with it, like Kobe. But I could totally see it. I just think that, I mean, the guy he goes to Carolina Panther games, for crying out loud. Like, and that's like voluntarily too. I'm sorry, Carolina fans, but I'm gonna have to go there.
It's like beating the drum.
He's all about the city, so I could see it. I don't want him to do it. I want him to see him retire in Golden State, but I could totally see it. But I'm going to move on now to our last game, or topics for the night, and this is dub or dud. So here's our first dub or dud, guys. Larsa Pippen, who is Scottie Pippen's ex-wife.
Oh no.
She was spotted. I mean, somebody is taking pictures, sending them to TMZ, whatever it may be. But she was spotted with proof and evidence and pictures dining with Michael Jordan's son, Marcus, who is 31. And Larsa Pippen, for reference, is 48 years old. And man, if there wasn't enough drama between Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan before, there's definitely some now. It takes the meaning of The Last Dance to a whole nother level. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Is this a dub or a dud? And I'm going to start with Ro.
Oh no. Man, I don't even know what to think of this. I mean, right? I guess I'm going to go with a dub. I mean, find love wherever you gotta find it. I guess. Who are we to say who you date? Larsa or Michael Jordan's son, Marcus? I mean, she's 48, he's 31. That's not so crazy, in my opinion. I don't know. Dub.
JJ?
Everyone's laughing at me because I didn't even convince myself of this, by the way. Go ahead.
So, John, I know you said that there's already friction between Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And I'm sure Michael Jordan's son has been seeing all these crazy things Scottie Pippen has been saying about his dad. So I just imagine this dude thinking before he goes to bed, and he's like, what's the best way I could get revenge on this fool talking about my dad? I got it. It's a dub for that reason.
This is like some Game of Thrones, House of Dragon kind of betrayal here, dude.
Yeah, you
That's
went deep in that
intense.
one.
That's so intense.
What about you, Sammy?
Well, in the case of Michael Targaryen Jordan, when the Scottie Pippen Michael Jordan stories first came out, I'm going to quote JJ. He said, "If you come at the king, you best not miss." I think that it would not be remotely below Michael Jordan to actually send his son out on this mission to go one further than what JJ was saying.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Like, Scotty, you want to talk? I'm gonna get my kids to go out with your ex-wife.
This is crazy, dude.
This is just the dubbiest of dubs on so
Yeah.
many levels. I'm sticking with his airness on this one. Dub Michael Jordan. Scotty, just write your book and move on, man. Just don't even respond to this.
Oh man, I'm with you guys.
man.
This is a super dub. I mean, I hope they get married because can you imagine the aftermath and the stories that come out of that? That's gonna be great. We'll have mainstream media will have content for so long. Anyway, moving on to our second dub or dud here. So the New York Knicks, they have a big three, I guess you can call it that if you want. I'm sure only Knicks fans are calling it that, but they have Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, and Julius Randle. And they are taking about $341 million. That's not you heard me correctly. $341 million of cap space. And I already know what the answer is for everybody. At least I know what the honest answer should be, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Is this a dub or a dud? And I'm going to start with JJ.
Sorry, Knicks. We've been beating you down in this pod for the past few months, but it's deserved. Well deserved. It's definitely a dud. This trio is taking up 341 million in cap space, John. Wow,
Crazy.
that's crazy.
And Sammy.
I mean, for entertainment value, it's a dub for all of us. But,
Yeah.
I mean, we might have been beating down Knicks fans for a few months, but man, James Dolan's been beating them down for 40 years. Like, this is just... Especially with what we talked about earlier, they could have had Mitchell, and instead they have... I heard the term mid-3 actually used to describe them. Those three players, John.
Wow.
I read it somewhere else. I did not make that up, but... Sorry, Knicks fans, but it's just, that's clearly a dud. You can say that you're saving your assets for the next major disgruntled player, but gotta show it. And this is all you have right now, so it is what it is.
It's a dud, and like JJ was saying, it's well deserved. In fact, it's 341 million. It's worth. Deserved. How many All-Stars are in this? How many All-Star votings are in this trio? I mean, that is crazy talk. 341 million.
That's
Dud.
crazy.
Dud, super dud. I mean, Jalen Brunson, dude, he got overpaid like crazy. RJ Barrett is the best player of this trio, potential-wise, and also maybe currently, arguably. So, but still, that's just way too much money for three guys that none of these guys you can call a superstar easily. And I'm going to move us on to our last dub or dud of the night. And then naturally, it's Russell Westbrook.
Dud. Go ahead.
So Russell Westbrook, guys, his NBA 2K rating, NBA 2K23, his rating is a 78 overall, which is a C++ if you're thinking of it in grade terms here. And I do want to throw this out before I throw it to you guys, is that the NBA 2K ratings is judged is not more than who they are at their core. And it's adjusted based on recent trends and how they're performing in real life. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. Dub or dud for Westbrook's 2K23 rating. I'm going to start off with Ro.
Oh man, I was trying to see who else, like quickly, like who else is rated a 78?
John Wall.
Kemba Walker, LeVert, Kevin Porter Jr., Malik Monk, Gary Payton II. I thought 78 was actually kind of good, but now like going through that list, he should. Okay, operative word is should. He should be as a superstar, right? A big name, better than 78. Like that is awful. I'm gonna go with dud.
JJ?
John, can you confirm his salary for this year?
No, because I know you have it pulled up already on your screen, and you're just don't bait me. I already know what it is.
It's above 45 with incentives. As a player that is, like Jun said, a superstar and being rated as a 78, it's definitely a dud. But I've seen people commenting that 78 is actually too high. It should be lower for a player that scores 19, 6 boards, 6 assists. I mean, if we're going just based off stats, I think it's kind of slow. Maybe 81, 82. I do find it interesting that if you've played NBA 2K, their ratings are usually based off stats. And for whatever reason, this time, they didn't go by stats. They went for actual gameplay, like the eye test. So 2K, pretty ballsy of you.
It depends on one thing, though. I know in Madden, you know what drives the rating a lot is awareness.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very possible his athleticism is at a 90 and his awareness is at like a 20. And that's how they balance this out. So I'm going to give it a dub. By the sound of it, it sounds like they got this thing spot on. So nice work, 2K.
John, before you answer this, I just want to let you know that Alex Caruso is also rated a 78.
Ouch.
And before he answers this, I have it on the screen. Patrick Beverly is a 79.
Wow.
Yep, that's why we traded for him.
Sammy, I loved your analogy about the awareness. That would be like if I made my punter reposition to a quarterback. His awareness would be 20.
Yeah. I can't even argue with it. I mean, 78 it's average to me, right? So I guess you can call Westbrook average. I mean, he definitely didn't play well last year. I think he had multiple games where he turned the ball over more than 10 times, which is absolutely crazy for a point guard. So 78, whatever. He's still in the Lakers.
Is this a dub?
Very sad. I'm very sad.
Is this
about
a dub?
No, this is
for you?
absolute dud, dude. This is a dud. It's a dud because it just reminds me that he's still on the team.
Well, with that, that's actually all we have for tonight's pod. I want to thank you three for being on. JJ, thanks for being on, man.
Hey, thank you guys. And football until February, starting next week. Can't wait.
Dang, can't wait. John, thanks for being on, man.
That's right. Thank you. And yes, fantasy football, I'm ready to get heartbroken again, year after year.
Sammy, thanks for being on, man.